Welcome back to Barrel Banter.
Banter,
This
banter,
is
banter.
this is Will, and I'm joined by obviously the other two hosts of this show, Mr. Jared and Peyton.
Let's
We are going to
go.
be jumping into some beautiful things today. Lots to talk about, boys. We got NFL free agency. We've got March Madness right around the corner. We've got the review of the Saudi Grand Prix, which was I think had some interesting results. Behrman for Ferrari, but also we're going to be talking a little bit about preview for the Australian Grand Prix, and maybe, just maybe, if we got the time, we're going to look at the old Six Nations update, see what's going on there. But boys, how are we doing? I missed y'all. I've been gone. What's going on?
Yeah, how are you doing, man? You've been gone forever. What's new?
Yeah, that's really the question. I don't care about us. I care about you, Will. You're back.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. So I was on honeymoon,
Mm.
ladies and gentlemen, and let me tell you, honeymoons are fun, and they're a lot of fun because you get to unplug and just live this blissful life of just reality doesn't exist. And we were in a beautiful place, Dominican Republic, which weather was great, people were great, had a fantastic time, and so that's where I've been. Just been a bit busy getting married and uh, you know all that stuff, becoming Mr. Well, I guess you're Mr. Stone. Anyways, you get it. So, but how about you boys? What have y'all been up to?
Oh man. Well, first off, congratulations. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad the honeymoon was relaxing. It sounds like it's a great time. But we missed you over here on the pod.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've been
absolutely.
working.
Yeah. We've been working. We have not stopped. We've been keeping it going. Apologies to the fan base, the loyal listeners, about not having a pod last week. Scheduling conflicts, Will being lost somewhere in the oceans of the world and honeymooning. We just couldn't make it happen. But we're here. We're happening this week. We got a lot to talk about, like you said, Will. So I'm keen to jump in. How y'all feeling about it?
Let's get after it, dude.
Let's get
Let's do
after
it.
it. So, Peyton, I believe you've been wanting to chat about this for a minute, but it's still been brewing as I've seen it. What's been going on with this NFL free agency?
Oh man, it's been mayhem. We've had a lot of trades. Um, so some of the big names we got Kirk Cousins leaving for the Atlanta Falcons from Minnesota Vikings. He got another, over 100 million guaranteed to bring his total earnings career wise almost a half a billion for a quarterback that I would say is not top 10. So, hell of a job, Kirk. Hell of a job, agent. That's the agent everyone needs in their life. Saquon Barkley's going to Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas Cowboys suck. They lost like 4 or 5 years.
Cowboys haven't done
Uh,
anything.
this has been the off season of the backup quarterbacks. We've had so many backup quarterbacks getting signed in the first 2 days of free agency. Usually, like they start getting signed after all the starters, so usually about a week in or all the way up until the start of training camp. So I think everybody took note that we had 80 plus quarterbacks start a game last season. So everybody's trying to get their backup solidified. So they don't have to pull a New York Jets and punt on the season after 4 snaps. Starting but I mean, there's been a lot of shaking and moving. There's been some surprise money being thrown around. Surprise trades with the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh shaking things up, cutting Mike Williams, and then trading Keenan Allen. So their top two weapons. So I'm interested to see what they do in the draft to get Herbert some help. So I mean, really, there were so many moves we could spend hours on this, but those were kind of the highlights on my end.
Yeah, definitely seems there's a lot going on more often than maybe normal, or just maybe just some of these bigger names getting moved around. I mean, I don't know if you say not as big of a name as many others, but Kirk Cousins getting moved. I mean, the man's just been in the NFL for a while, so he's racking up that money. But looks like he and like rightfully so, his agent made some good deals there because I think that move is ranked by multiple sources as like the number one offseason move so far in the free agency.
Yep. Yeah, it's huge for Atlanta. It's huge for Kirk.
What are your thoughts, Will?
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. I think one of the other teams that said made some pretty big moves that I was kind of surprised by was actually the Houston Texans. They went off
Yep.
and signed Daniel Hunter, who paid him a bag for his services, which I think he earned. He had a great season last year, 16 and a half sacks, I believe. But they also went and traded for Joe Mixon, which, I don't know how I feel about that, but, as a fan for the Texans, but at the end of the day, hey, went and got some weapons for CJ Stroud. So I'll be interested to see where the Texans end up. But, like you said, I think that Saquon Barkley trade or signing was pretty intense because that's a direct rival. So that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. But anyways, yeah, I think the free agency has been a whirlwind because there's a lot of moves, a lot of trades going on. I think this draft also is very loaded with a bunch of players. So I guess good prospects.
Yep.
So I think there's been a lot of banking on the draft. So you've seen a lot of draft picks be switched around for different players. So definitely going to be interesting. Peyton, I do have a question for you. What
Hit
is
me.
going on in Dallas, man? What's going on? What happened?
Oh man, we're doing a standoff. So, you know, Stephen Jones is a real, pardon my language, but a real McAsshole. And he's all about, save money and build from within and stuff. And so usually, they haven't had a big free agent signing in at least 10 years. So their strategy now is, re-sign the people they drafted if they're worthy, and then, go bargain shopping, a couple weeks after free agency starts all the way up until training camp with, post June 1st cuts and stuff like that. So it's, you know, a lot of it is they have a lot of cap tied up, and then they have to, which I don't agree with, re-sign Dak, and then they got to extend CD Lamb and Parsons. CD Lamb and Parsons are gonna, be the highest paid at their position, or really close. So they're trying to mortgage, making sure they can re-sign those guys while also being competitive. I don't really see how that's going to happen unless they get some bargain free agent signings throughout the spring and the summer. But I'm expecting a dip in performance and definitely a first round playoff exit. But we'll see what happens. But the fan base is up in arms. We're tired of Dak. We're tired of the Jones. It's just a lot of turmoil. And then it doesn't help when you see Houston Texans turn around and bounce back, and they got a stud quarterback on a you know on a rookie deal. They're leaking new uniforms that look snazzy. It's just you know not a good time to be a Dallas Cowboy fan right now.
Lots of stuff going around. Lots of people getting moved. Even some teams dumping people, i.e., the Denver Broncos letting go Russell
Yep.
Wilson. I know they're not your team,
Oh,
Peyton, but they are in your backyard. So you got any feelings on that?
Yeah. So don't really know what the move was on that. I don't. I mean, you're already gonna have to pay him a boatload of money for this year, so why not you know, keep them and then, draft a quarterback just to see if they could blossom into something sitting behind Russ. I mean, they want to be competitive and rebuild, but it's not like they got anything in return for, cutting Russ except for, a huge cap hit. So that was interesting. And, they cut some other veterans, namely, Justin Simmons, their stud safety. So, you know, Bronco Nation wasn't happy about that. So they're trusting Sean Payton for right now, but I would say, depending on how this year goes, I could easily see the fan base kind of flipping on Sean Payton. So what happens?
yeah. Just kind of continue off that. I was genuinely, I don't understand the dropping of Russell Wilson. Like, Sean Payton, I get it, didn't want to work with him. He doesn't think he's the quarterback for him. But I mean, with the money they're paying, I think you could probably still get at least another year out of him. Try to make it work a little bit, and then like you said, you draft a rookie quarterback, let him develop. But I mean, they want to sit there with that big cap hit for the next 2 years. That is what it is. But I just don't. I don't think this is the right move. But we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, they're gonna have that big cap hit, and then if they turn to Stedman to start, they're arguably in a worse position, and or they start a rookie way too fast. So I just think this was a poor move, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, some good coverage on the NFL free agency, but I think we should pop it on over to our next topic of the day, which is March Madness. Selection Sunday, isn't that what it's called? Has come and gone. The brackets
Yep.
are
Mm-hmm.
99% there. We got our first four starting tonight. So,
Yep.
what do we got, boys? Anything fun there? Was any surprises? What are y'all feeling? Will, what you got?
Man, so my heart really wants the Texas A&M Aggies to win the whole thing.
Amen.
Are they going to? Probably not. You never know, but they're probably not. Now, I'm just going to go ahead with some predictions here. I so as far as champion goes, honestly, I've got Iowa State, man. I think they have the most upside of any team in the bracket, and but they've had some heavy losses. I mean, they beat Houston, which was a huge deal, which because Houston's a juggernaut, but they also lost to Texas A&M, so you never know with them. But I think Iowa State's got the biggest upside to go all the way. Um, Now I'm going to predict on a Cinderella as well. I honestly, like, there's not a team that really sticks out to me, so I'm just gonna kind of give it a good old whopping, swag uh, choice here. So I think I just never heard of them, so I'm gonna go with Stetson Hatters. I don't even know what a hatter is, but I think that's probably what we're gonna go with because that sounds like the perfect Cinderella story to me. Because I've never heard of them. So, um, but I'm excited because I think March Madness is always just a true toss up. You never know who's gonna win. Any team can beat any other team on any day. It's always exciting. It makes the predictions that much more fun to try to fill out your bracket and see who wins. But it should be exciting. I think it's anybody's, time this year. I would say like there's not been a clear team all season that's been the standout best. I would say so. I'm excited. That's all I'm going to say, and those are my predictions. What about y'all?
Fun fact: my sources have told me that Stetson, your Cinderella team,
Mm-hmm.
Stetson University was actually where the Waterboy movie was filmed.
Okay.
Okay, well, that adds more to it.
National championship pick. Really the most complete team is UConn, but we haven't had a back-to-back champion since early 2000s with the Florida Gators, so I don't really want to pick them. Um, there's so many teams that can get hot. I mean, you got Houston, Tennessee, North Carolina is a good pick. There's a lot of options. I'm gonna go. Gosh, I'm gonna go wild card, and I'm gonna say let's do Arizona. Why not? Actually, no, we're not doing Arizona. They can't play defense. We're gonna go. I'm gonna skip that for now. Cinderella. I'm gonna go McNeese State. They got the ex LSU basketball coach Will Wade, the guy that was in the FBI probe a couple of years ago, on record saying, going all Godfather and will give his ass an offer he can't refuse. Um, so I'm gonna go with them. They only lost 3 games this year. They got some really good guard play and they play really good defense. So you need great defense in the tournament and bucket getters. Um, National championship pick. Son of a gun. I should have prepared better for this. There's too many options. Oh gosh. You know what? We're gonna go wild card. We're gonna say Tennessee Volunteers. Volunteers. That's who we're going with.
Love it. Love it. What constitutes Cinderella? Like, how low do you have to be ranked? Are we talking 13? No, sorry. Yeah, yeah. Are we talking 13, 14, 15? Or where's the line? Because all I have to
I would
say,
say 10.
well, Well, I'm gonna cheat, and I just want to say that my Cinderella should be Texas A&M, not only because of my affiliation as an alum, but because they seem like they play already as the most random Cinderella team, where they beat people they shouldn't beat, and they lose to people they shouldn't lose to. So maybe we'll just play that way and get pretty far. Stephen A. Smith himself, the personality that he is, has Texas A&M in his Final Four for March Madness. So we'll see. A&M has beat Tennessee. Um, they beat, you said, Iowa State, White Will, and they really went toe to toe with Houston, like you said, a juggernaut. So I'm gonna cheat and say they're my Cinderella because it also makes me happy that that's my school. But Peyton, I'm with you. I'm going the Tennessee Volunteers because I mean I love the Southeastern Conference. I got to support. They didn't play too well in the SEC tournament, but I think they'll be fired up and ready to play. They are the number 2 seed, so they're gonna need after it. I would love to see them whoop Texas, and that'll just be entertainment enough for me. But yeah, I'm with you, Peyton, on that one.
Cool. Heck yeah. And I don't trust Purdue. They always crap the bed. So.
I just feel like it's so
Uh,
boring to go for a number one. I never want to go for number one. Have I ever gotten a bracket right? No, but I don't like picking number ones. It's just lame.
so I agree with y'all's picks. They make sense. Tennessee Volunteers, I get it. Uh, but wait, what seed is Tennessee Volunteers? Y'all know?
Jared just
Number
said
two.
2C.
Number two. Sick.
Yeah.
Well, then we're all across the board. I thought it was number one. I was like, the number one seed hasn't won forever. I'm pretty sure that's true, but just kidding. It's number two seed, so yeah, you're good. That's what mine was too. Yeah.
What do we get into next?
Saudi
I'd like
Grand
to take a
Prix.
moment here. Maybe not. Never mind. My moment's over. Willis came in. We're talking Saudi Grand Prix. Oh boy. Okay, so it has been a minute since we've been on here. So the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was not this past weekend, but the weekend prior, um, and it was another Saturday race. And we had a little bit of what we call it, a rinse and repeat. It's another day for Bullet Bourbon. If you listen to the last podcast, you'll get that. But it was a Max Verstappen victory with a Checo Perez in P2, Red Bull 1 and 2. But Charles Leclerc on the podium. Got a lot of the Ferrari there. So
Yep.
pretty run of the mill stuff at the top, but there was some really interesting storylines. Main one of the weekend being Carlos Sainz out with appendicitis, and the rookie Ollie Behrman getting thrown in. Is currently driving Formula Two, was on pole for the Formula Two race, got the call up when Carlos went down, and plopped himself into a Ferrari and ended the race P7 with points. I mean,
I did.
that's incredible. So, what are y'all thoughts on that about Ollie Behrman and his performance? Driver of the day, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't want to discredit him at all because, getting a call an hour before FP3 on a tough street circuit, getting only an hour of practice and then jumping into quali and then the race, it's a demanding track for the driver. So you did a really great job. I just want to pump the brakes just a little bit because he wasn't a Ferrari. It's not
Yeah.
like he was in a V something like Lawson last year. He still did a phenomenal job, but he's getting praised rightfully so. But let's pump the brakes just a little bit. It's not like he was in a tractor or anything.
True. Yeah. Ultimately, he didn't. I mean, yes, like you said, he's in a Ferrari. So, but I mean, you got to give it to him. He gets thrown in there. I would say knocks it out of the park. He did what he could do with the short term notice. But yeah, I ultimately I'm excited for him. He may not be ready for a full time seat yet, but he definitely, he's a prospect. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him in a seat in a year or two. So that's exciting for him. I thought it was fun to just see him kind of rip it up on the track on race day. So
Yeah, I definitely think that's probably the most likely if he's going to get on the grid next year would be going to Haas. It'd be a change of I don't know opinion on how Haas likes to have their drivers because I think they're a little bit scarred from their Schumacher Mazepin days of having rookies in. But he seems to be a
Yeah.
good talent. I totally agree that yes, he was in a Ferrari, and a Ferrari is a quick car, but nonetheless, like he was put in a competitive lap times. He had decent qualifying
Yeah.
pace, and for somebody who had been in the car for all of 60 minutes, and you can go see interviews with multiple people that driving an F1 car is significantly different to an F2 car, and they experience a lot more, I think, G's and everything. So kudos to him. I mean, yes, we also know in Formula One that a one race performance is nothing to judge off of with a Nick DeVries example, but still, I think it could be exciting to see some rookies come in. I think some people with the continued max domination that I feel like we're going to get again this year are now keen to see some new, fresh faces in on the grid.
Yep.
Literally nothing's changed since last year. So, how about let's just get Andretti and let's open up 2 spots? Doesn't that sound amazing? But hey, I don't run
I'm,
Formula One.
We got to protect the pocket. Everybody's
Protect that pocket. But I think that's pretty much
true.
all we can say about Saudi. But let's move forward to the next F1 event in our calendar, and that's the upcoming Australian Grand Prix we got this upcoming weekend. Woohoo! Australia. I'm kind of mad about it because it's literally in the middle of the night, and I'm not going to be awake for it. But that's all right.
Was it like 2 a.m. your time or something?
It's 4 a.m. Ireland time. But we got to give the Aussies their 1 week with their crazy time zones
Yeah.
because they have to suffer every other week, except for Japan. But
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Didn't they
Yeah.
make a modification to the track to make it easier to pass for this year?
I'm
I
not sure. But if they
I know they
did,
made
that'd be exciting.
change. Yeah, didn't they make a change last year? Was that last year or the year before? I can't remember. But I know they opened up one of the turns, but I can't remember exactly. There was a turn that there was like it was always a slowdown on the back, like kind of that back straight. It's not really a straight, but it was curved. But rather than having to stop, hit that turn, and then the straight, they just made it all one long straight, if I remember correctly. But I don't know if they've made any other additional potentially. So
I was gonna say outside of Max Verstappen and the Red Bulls, what do we see any shakers and movers? Is Ferrari gonna be the next best? How's the other three teams gonna do? Aston Martin, McLaren, and Mercedes that seem to have a tractor again.
here, here's what's really going to happen. So yeah, you're going to see Max Verstappen P1. It is what it is. It's inevitable. But we're going to see the two Aussies go on the podium. That's what's going to happen, boys. We're going to see Mr. Oscar Piastri, McLaren P2, Daniel Ricciardo V Carb P3. It's just bound to happen. So that's what I'll. That's the movers and shakers for sure.
Squilliam, I
That's a mover.
absolutely love that energy. It's while I love the energy, I may not get fully behind it, but it does bring up my thoughts of I think the main storyline for me this weekend is actually going to be just seeing how Daniel Ricciardo performs. He said 2 very mediocre, if not bad, races in the first 2 of the season. It is early. It's another new car, figuring it out. He seems pretty positive about it, but Saudi Arabia was nothing to write home about for him. He even spun off the track by himself with a few laps to go. Recovered, but it's a little bit of embarrassment to start the season out when ultimately he's getting judged very hard for a potential future Red Bull seat. So he's back
Yeah.
home in his home race. Has a couple weeks
Mm.
to get his bearings straight, and I'm hopeful to see him put in some decent performances. I'm not a full believer that the V carb is competitive, but I also, have I mentioned before, have a little bit of that conspiracy theory that they have that thing turned down and don't want to crank it up too early to step on too many toes yet. So we'll see, but my eyes are going to be on Daniel Ricciardo this weekend.
Speaking of the V Carb and Daniel Ricciardo, going back to the that team, I know y'all talked about it last Grand Prix at the Bahrain, but do we think Yuki and Daniel are they gonna ever be able to work together, or do we think that's not gonna happen?
I think that's water on the bridge already, but mainly because that seemed to be pretty one sided, anyways, in their interactions, where Yuki was kind of leading the aggression there, but they seem to have cooled them off. And if they were both, angry at each other and getting at their throats like there has been in teammates in the past, it'd be a little bit more of a question mark. But I think that was a one-off thing, and it's moved on from there. That's my thoughts on that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys, let's jump back into it. Jared, you want to talk about Six Nations? What's going on with that?
Oh boy, yes I do. So, Six Nations is over. It is finished. This past weekend saw us wrapping it up. And the good news, we'll just get straight to it, is that Ireland are Six Nations champions back to back this
Woo!
year. So, big fans of that. We finished off the tournament with a good win against Scotland. Hard fought game, but the baby say bad news is that unfortunately it was not a must win, but a must win game for us because the week prior we played England in London and we lost England by 1 point. It was depressing to say the least. I was actually physically present in London. I wasn't at the game, but I was at a pub in London watching it, decked out in Ireland gear, singing shoulder to shoulder, standing tall, all the things. But we lost, and it's pretty rough to be in that environment as the loser. But all I have to say is Ireland didn't play a great game against England. England fans are happy about it. They were kind. They said that they thought they were going to get walloped. But, anyways, we persevered. We came through. That does mean we didn't get our back-to-back Grand Slams, which is, sweeping the entire tournament. And that would have just been great and, good to have. But all is well. We won the tournament still. So I'm happy about that. Ireland's looking good. Still ranked number 2 in the world. So a lot to look forward to for them. But that's Six Nations wrapped up. So unfortunately, I don't know. We're gonna have to figure something else like rugby wise to keep y'all up to date. But that's that over.
Who's ranked number 1 out of Ireland?
South Africa.
Ah,
Yeah. So South Africa won the World Cup just this past year, and they're ranked number 1. And New Zealand, the All Blacks, are ranked number 3. And after the Six Nations tournament, we are a small margin ahead of them in ranking. So we're holding on to that number 2 spot, but it's still been good. The team's still looking good. And yeah, congrats to Ireland for that Six Nations win.
yeah. The boys got her done.
Exactly. So I appreciate y'all following along with that and the two of you becoming de facto Ireland fans, as you should.
Yeah. I got a little love for Ireland, man. I'll root for them, especially over England and Italy and those boys. So
that's the Six Nations update. But let's move on to some more topics of the week. Will, what's next on our list?
Well, we've got to be talking about a very important update, or I guess important date that's coming up is the opening day for MLB season for baseball. We'll be talking about what the big shakers and movers are there. And there was a big signing here recently for the Giants, but let's talk about who we think's got it this season, who we think's going to come out on top, who we think is going to be struggling. But yeah, opening day, March 28th. Y'all ready for this?
Oh, I'm hyped.
ready for this?
I thought that too. I just didn't go into the singing, but yeah, I'm hyped for the opening day. It snuck up on us, honestly, when I saw that it was in, what is that? Is that 9 days away? I mean, that's coming up quick. So excited to have some baseball back in and see how the season plays out.
Do we ever get an update on the jerseys, Jared?
Oh no, I haven't. It's kind of died out, so I don't know if anything got updated. I hope by this point they've figured out how to get enough pants to everybody that there'd be enough for the season. But to be honest, I forgot to even get a good update on that because I haven't seen anything organically pop up. So my thoughts on that are that Nike and Fanatics kind of just iced out the players and are hoping that it goes away.
Nice.
So, Will, what do you think about the free agency signing recently, Blake Snell leaving the Padres to the Giants?
I think it's got multiple it's gonna have a multiple effect on what's going on in the MLB because one, not only in the playing side of the MLB is this gonna be a big deal for the Giants having Blake Snell, but ultimately this is having ramifications in the free agency as a whole because he held out quite a while, and we already threw basically all of spring training, and he didn't get paid out, and so this is another guy, Jordan Montgomery. He was with the Rangers last year, pretty dominant pitcher, and he still isn't signed. We're seeing a lot of teams not spend a lot, which is become a problem with a lot of these players. I know the players union is actually making a ruckus about it, but there's a lot of ramifications going on with this signing because it's finally, someone willing to buck up and give him some money, but it's only a short-term deal. He's going to try to probably re-enter the free agency next year after he opts out. So as for the Giants, it's big, big addition, but I don't see him staying there long. And I'm sure he'll end up trying to figure out a different team, better contract. So yeah, that's what my thoughts are on all that for Blake Snell.
Peyton, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, just piggyback off of Will. It's kind of been a weird free agency. They shelled out some monies for the big names, and then it's kind of been, like the Shohei Ohtani and the other guy from Japan that came over, and but other than that, it's been kind of quiet. Like Will said, Jordan Montgomery's still out there. Still hoping he'll come back to the Texas Rangers, but yeah, it's been a weird off season. And then I saw that. The players are kind of trying to get rid of one of the MLBPA execs and bring in ex-lawyer that helped unionize the minor league players. So they're trying to get him in there. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been a weird off season. I'm just ready to get back to baseball and let's go on the march to October.
Yeah, definitely. I think overall, I'm not sure if you could call it maybe the Shohei Ohtani effect of how this free agency has been affected, but he made such a big splash with his huge deal for the Dodgers and the way that it was formatted and structured. I'm curious if a lot of other executives on teams and agents were kind of at odds where the teams wanted to pump the brakes with this whole new idea of throwing so much money at these players. And honestly, the contracts are just getting bigger and bigger. And these big contracts we heard from a couple years back where Bryce Harper going to the Phillies are small change compared to what's happening now in baseball. So
Yeah.
I wonder if it's something to that effect seeing there. I did see something that the Dodgers spent over $1 billion this offseason, which is just absurd in contract agreements.
Yeah.
I find the Padres moves a bit interesting because the Padres seemed like big spenders a couple years ago. I think they had the record with Manny Machado for the biggest contract in baseball shortly after Bryce Harper. But they recently, Juan Soto's off to the Yankees. Blake Snell's off to the Giants. Some of these
Yep.
big guys for them aren't there anymore, so they given up or they're playing Moneyball. It's curious to see there, but overall, I mean, I'm still gonna be rooting for the Stros. Can't go against my home team there. We did sign a big reliever that, admittedly, I'm blanking on who he is right now. So, Will, please save me there. But that's one of the things the Astros have been good at is having a deep rotation and the relievers to take us deep in the postseason. So we'll see about it. But yeah, looking forward to baseball. That's all I
Josh
gotta say.
Hader.
Josh Hader. That's right. Yeah, Josh Hader. That's right. Who was an Astro back in the day, so it's a return back home for him. So it's good to see.
Come on.
The signing of Josh Hader, honestly, it was a big move for the Astros, but I think it was not a needed one. And I wish they would have spent that money elsewhere, like an outfielder. I know people are high on Chas McCormick, but I don't think he's the answer. And I think we needed more starting rotation depth. I think we got a weak rotation there. Even though JV's there and Fromber and Christian Javier, it's still inconsistent, I would say, especially after last season. You don't know if JV's going to last all season. Fromber, if you can't find a sinker, he might be on the trading block. So Urquidy's already on the IL. So, anyways, just with the Astros and Josh Hader signing, like great. You signed a great closer, but if you can't get to the closer in a situation where he can close out the game and get the win,
Hmm.
what's the point? So, um, anyways, but that's all I have to say about that.
I hear you a little bit, but the Astros did lose three relievers this offseason, so we had to have somebody pitch the baseball after the starters. Hector Neris is gone, Phil Maton's gone, and Ryan Stanek are gone. So those are guys that played well for us, pitched well for us. So we got to have somebody in there. It may have been a bit splashy, but all in all, I'm pretty okay with it. I think the Astros have always had a pretty developed rotation. I'm not even saying pitching rotation, but just roster. So again, hopeful. We'll see. We'll see whose opinion plays out to be correct. But will I have to disagree with you on that one?
Love that.
But let's talk about another thing
You're
that's near and
wrong.
dear to our hearts. Oh, boo! Will go away. And Peyton, I'm sorry that you have to endure so much of this Texas A&M talk because I know you love the school so much. But Texas A&M has a new athletic director in the form of Trev Albert from
Oh, good old Huskers.
Nebraska Cornhuskers. And seemingly this is a big deal because Nebraska fans are upset left, right, and center. So I'd say that's a dub for Texas A&M, but literally no idea what to expect. Texas A&M as a university has a new president, a new athletic director, and a new head football coach heading into 2024. That's a lot of change in leadership, so we'll have to see how that plays out for us. But the most interesting thing I think with all of this, that's just hilarious, is both Texas A&M men's basketball and women's basketball made the tournament. They're both dancing, so that's great. But the selection committee on both men's and women's basketball have A&M playing Nebraska in the first round, and
Oh,
we
that's
just took
great.
their athletic director. So if you think that the selection committee doesn't have a sense of humor, you got to be wrong.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Uh, Speaking of that, Nebraska's kind of turmoil because they lost their president too. They got an interim president that's trying to look for the new AD, so they're a little shaken up. But as far as Texas A&M, we'll see how the new AD does. The football team. There's a lot of questions, so this might be a rebuilding year for them. So as long as they can beat Texas, I'm sure the Aggies will be okay with a down year. But I don't know.
Yeah, the oil money will stay flowing if we continue, or if we beat Texas. You're correct on that.
Yeah, just to close out, that topic, I would like to say that it is funny to see, like I was saying about the Nebraska, how we are going to be facing them. That's just quite the coincidence. I love that. Hopefully, Ags get the dub there. But yeah, I'm curious to see because he's been at Nebraska for 15 years. That's a long time to be with a program, and then what is the success that he's had there. I haven't tracked Nebraska too long or too much ever since they left the Big 12. I didn't really follow them too much, so I'll be curious to see what he can do. And like you said, we got a new president, got a new head football coach, so hopefully it's a winning trio. But very very excited. We'll see.
I I think he was only AD for in the AD position for 3 years at Nebraska before he came over. So I don't know what other titles he had while he was there.
Yeah, I think the thing that
Okay,
the
gotcha,
Nebraska fans are
gotcha.
getting kind of sensitive about is one that he is a Nebraska alum. Trev played
Yep.
for Nebraska football. The other thing is that Nebraska is one of the I don't know, is it 8 teams in the country that are considered blue bloods, which is essentially just like juggernaut all-time college football teams.
Yep.
And Nebraska hasn't been relevant in decades since their dominance. And this was the first time I think that Nebraska was feeling like they were heading in a good direction. They have a good football coach in Matt Rule. They're building up.
Yep.
They have, I think they've funded a stadium renovation, a lot of things that are necessary in college athletics with facilities and stadium renovations and these kind of things to be successful are in the works. So I think they were feeling momentum with him, and him leaving is what really got them kind of in a bunch there. But hopeful that
Mm,
someone who's experienced that building momentum will take the momentum that Texas A&M has because the facilities are there, the stadium's there. I think we're, if
Oh
not the
yeah.
first, we're the second most highest grossing athletic program in the nation. Hopefully, he can take those assets and really let them run.
gotcha. Okay, that all makes sense. So, yeah, I didn't know too much background on him, and like I said, I wasn't following Nebraska too much, but that definitely makes me more excited about it. And I know that Nebraska also they had gotten a commitment from one of the top quarterbacks who flipped recently in recruiting,
Yep.
so I know that there is probably some good things going on there. So, but anyways, yeah, it is exciting new times for Texas A&M.
Fighting Aggies.
Giga Maggies. So to start wrapping this up, I would love to hear a little bit of a rant. I know we usually get a rant from Peyton, but I've heard rumors of one brewing with Sir Squilliam. And so,
Whoa!
if you'd be so obliged, Will, to give us your thoughts on the state of Manchester United and their victory in the FA Cup.
Thank you, Jared, for opening up the floor for this. This has been brewing, I would say, since when they opened the season with quite the terrible start in the first 10 games. I can't remember the stat, but I think they only won 3 of their first 10 games. So it was off to a rough start, and it really hasn't improved since. Let me just be clear here. I love Manchester United, been following them since like basically I fell in love with them when they won the Champions League back in '08. I've been following them ever since. But let me be clear that the Liverpool win is always a great win. Okay, so the win in the FA Cup quarterfinal just this past weekend was amazing. You love to see it as a Man United fan. You always want to see the Scousers you always want to see them lose. It's amazing. You never want to let them win anything. But as a foreshadow for our Manchester United squad and our team and where we're headed, it to me is another just false dawn. I can't get my hopes up for this team. Mr. Eric Ten Hag, we have backed you 2 summers in a row with multiple signings, multiple overpaying for too many players. And sir, you should be doing better than this. He had a great first season. I will give him that. And I was on the hype train, but man, sir, you've blown it. You've lost your opportunity to take hold of this team, and you've lost it. And I can't sit here and let you do it anymore. Thankfully, I will say we have a new ownership in the building, not full ownership, you know, God forbid the Glazers actually sell him. Imagine them actually caring about the club and selling them off. Imagine that. But we do have new minority stake, and that this owner is going to be taking up football operations. So there is some glimmer of hope. But I'll just tell you that the first signs has been all talk. It's been zero movement. He did go get some executives. That's pretty good, but still haven't seen anything come from that. Um, so Manchester United, it would be great if you could just recapture the glory days and do it in a way that is not just full of false hope. That would be amazing. Is that going to happen? Probably not. We're probably going to see the same thing over the next, 2 or 3 years until we have the right man at the wheel leading this team. Um, but yeah, so good, great. We're going to the semifinals at FA Cup. We're going to play Coventry City, which we should win, but we'll probably lose. But that's okay, because that's what we've grown accustomed to. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna close with that because I don't want to piss off too many people that are Man United fans.
Piss them off, Will.
That was lovely. I felt the passion there, and I really, really appreciate you stepping in and speaking up for your team that you love dearly. Um, I mean, hey, the stakes are high for Man U and anybody in management there. We're talking
Yep.
about a team that is what sixth in the table, but that's an outrage for the Man United faithful. So I really hope y'all don't lose to Coventry City because Coventry City is a sore spot for me as a Middlesbrough fan because they're who eliminated from us from the tournament in the championship last year for the potential, to get up to Premiership. But that's all right. So best of luck against them, Will. I really hope Man United turns it around for you. But anyways, congrats on that Liverpool dub, nonetheless.
Yes, thank you. And again, it was a good win. It was the typical classic Man United comeback win. We love to see it. Um, it sucks because I know the rest of the season, uh, going forward, and the season that's already transpired has just been such a major letdown, and I'm tired of feeling like that. So, yeah.
What does Man U need to do to kind of bounce back and get back to the glory days? Like, is it a new manager? Is it, he just needs to change his style? Is it new signings, letting people go? What do you think needs to happen?
Yeah, so most Man United fans, especially over in England, will tell you that it starts from the top, and that's going to be the majority owners, the Glazers. They need to be out the building. They need to be sell off the team and given to an owner that's willing to invest in the club, invest in the facilities, invest in the stadium, signings, managers, all the whole 9 yards. I will
Jeez, you
say
sound
that
like a Dallas
there is a
Cowboys fan.
way. Fair enough.
I was thinking the same thing, dude. I feel like I've heard for myself.
Right. So, and they are, what's crazy is that they are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers owners, and they are willing. They've invested money into the Bucks, but they won't in Manchester United for whatever reason. It's become a cash cow for them. But all I have to say, I do think there is a way to win with them because we did win the Premier League while they were owners. We just so happen to have the greatest manager of all time. But there is a way, and it starts with the recruiting. The whole recruiting department needs to be modernized. It needs to be led by executives that know what they're doing in this modern era of football and the transfer markets and how the negotiations work nowadays. It starts there because you need somebody that's able to get the players that are needed in the building, and then you need the right coach. I think those are the two. They have to be set up properly. Do I think Ten Hag is the right coach? Jury's still out. He did a great job at Ajax, but that was Ajax. That's in the Netherlands, and that division is solid. But is it one of the top five? It's arguable. I don't know. But Premier League is the cream of the crop, and so um, I would say that the biggest thing is revamp that recruiting department. Don't overspend on players, and make sure you're developing your academy, which thankfully Man United does do pretty well. And then make sure Ten Hag, if he's the guy, you back him. If he's not, get him out the door ASAP so you can back whoever the right manager is. That's my 2 cents.
Nice, appreciate that, Will. Very insightful.
Yeah, y'all heard it here first, fans. That is the state of Man United. And to the Glazers, if you're listening, his name is Will, and he is open for a job with you.
Yes.
Just yes, just yes. But anyways, guys, I think that's really all we're gonna have time for today. I would love to know some final thoughts on the state of sports, whether it's something in the past, something you're looking forward to. Peyton, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I am looking forward to March Madness. Obviously, it's a beautiful time of the year. Anything can happen. I'm looking forward to the Australian GP this weekend. We're going back to Sunday race days, so I'm excited for that.
Will, what about you?
Yeah, similar to Peyton, I'm excited about March Madness, see what magic can happen over the next couple weeks. And then also, I'm excited for this Formula One season to shake out. I'm hoping to see if we can see Red Bull not win a race. That'd be great. So we'll see what happens.
And over here, my final thoughts are I think I'm just living in a pure hopium copium world at the moment. I'm feeling all sorts of way about the stuff happening at Texas A&M in the basketball tournament. We're gonna see how well it plays out for them. Love the new AD there. Let's see what happens with that. Also, would love to see in the world of Formula One some other names get to the top. Let's not have Max Verstappen win. And baseball's around the corner, and I'm just feeling good because we haven't seen anything happen yet. And let's have the Astros win another World Series. So I just have all the hope in the world at the moment, ready to be crushed. But let's hope that's not the
You're
case.
right. Yeah, right.
I
Nice.
am ready.
Appreciate it.
I'm ready.
Yeehaw.
So, Peyton, how about you take us home?
All right, folks. Thanks again for listening. This has been another episode of yours truly, Barrel Banter. We got the crew back together. A little bit of technical difficulties, but that's all right. We powered through. That's what we got to do in this world. Positive vibes, keep the energy going, and tomorrow's another sports day, boys. Let's enjoy it. This has been Peyton.
This is Jared.
This is Will.
It's been Barrel Banter, 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 Banter.
You've just listened to an episode of Barrel Banter Podcast. Subscribe to the show so you'll be notified every time a new episode drops. Support the show by giving us a 5-star rating and sharing with your friends. Follow us on social media at Barrel Banter Podcast.